Welcome to Right on Track, brought to you by the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods. I am your host, Dianna Bolen. I'm going to start with a very brief history of the Publishing Club. The club was the brainchild of Peggy Edwards, who headed the club for 10 years. From the start, the Publishing Club was structured as a casual, supportive environment for the encouragement of writers of all levels and styles. It remains that to this day. Peggy Edwards initiated the annual publication of Village Stories, a selection of the best works of members in a given year. That publication continues to this day. This is the 2024 edition of Village Stories. She also had the idea for a program of authors reading their works called Storytelling in September. This later became a video show produced and directed by Michael Pontecorvo, which broadcasts regularly on TV6. Our guest today is the president of the Publishing Club, Nancy Brown. In her life before retirement, Nancy was a special education teacher in elementary school and high school. She has traveled widely and affordably through her company, Worldwide Sports Exchange. Nancy has been president of the board of the Publishing Club for 2 years. During her tenure, her tenure has resulted in an increase in membership from 43 to 116 members. That's more than double. The focus of today's show is about interrelated topics: the challenge and benefits of heading a club, transitions within the club, and Nancy's personal growth, which is still in process. So let's get started. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you for having me, Dianna.
Glad to. So the big news is that you are stepping down as president, and there will not be another president.
Well, the new board chair has decided she likes that term, board chair, rather than president. She says that she doesn't like the idea of a hierarchical format, but rather a format of collaboration and committees and that sort of thing. And so that's how it is going to be designed. It's a work in progress. And Nancy Southern, another Nancy, is going to be the board chair.
Oh, how wonderful. And I really like that non-hierarchical attitude. I mean, and so much of, well, I can't say that. I'll say that in certain instances, being non-hierarchical is a really good thing.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And because I made this decision a few months ago, it's given me time to process what this is going to look like and to spread the word and to kind of get members, and particularly board members, to give some thought into what the next phase of the Publishing Club is going to look like.
Yes, yes. So what kind of changes are you anticipating?
For the club?
Yeah, I mean, or maybe you're concerned about what those changes will be.
I had some health challenges, and so that really has erased the concern. My concern is getting my health in a better shape than it had been. And so I was initially concerned about who's going to take over. And if nobody takes over, what's going to happen to the club?
Yes.
Will it fold? And, you know, I really gave that over to the Lord and just said, whatever will be, will be.
Yes.
And because it's been a period of time, it's given others a chance to ponder what that is going to look like as well.
Yes.
And Nancy, the thing that really struck me about her on her membership application, she stated that she has experience in event planning and coordination. And I thought, bingo.
Yes.
So she likes the idea of committees. And that whole concept has really taken off.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, because you said that you just recently did your last club event,
That's right.
and now it's time to take care of Nancy.
That's right.
What does that look like?
Well, part of it I don't really know, which is okay.
It sure is.
I am known around the community as Nancy the dog nanny. And I am actually dog sitting as we speak. And so I will resume some of my dog sitting. I'm going to get into reading more, and my passion of writing. And my goal, and I'm not going to set a deadline because I've done that quite often, is saying I'm going to finish my memoir by a certain date. But I do really want to wrap up my memoir that I started about 13 years ago.
Ooh.
So that's kind of what my goal is.
So how far are you along with your memoir?
Well, I have about 30 vignettes, so I could, people ask me how many words. I have no idea how many words, but they're short vignettes, so, I could write some more. When you and I were talking, I even thought of another one earlier, and so I don't know. I don't know. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. What about your intended audience for the memoir?
Well, initially it was, and really it still is, for my family. And that said, there are some very personal parts of it. And since I am divorced, I want to be extremely sensitive of what I say for the benefit of my children and grandchildren. And so, I will take that into account, and I'm not even in the slightest bit thinking that it's going to be a bestseller, but maybe my experiences are going to resonate with some people out there. So.
Well, it just, knowing you as I do, and we'll get into this a little bit later, that, you've been working on yourself a lot and on issues around codependency.
Yes.
And one of those issues is over caretaking. And I'm just wondering if you have thought about, maybe you're doing that in the book by not telling the truth. You're kind of it sounds like you're saying you're sugarcoating it.
Well, I actually was very truthful. And when my daughter read it, because I wanted to be transparent, it struck a nerve. And so I want to be very sensitive to that and go back and review the parts that I'm sure she was concerned about, and think of other ways that I can say what I want to say without compromising my experiences, but without, hurting the family.
So just, I know we can't spend a lot of time on this, but even if it's not in your book, could you give an example of something that might hurt somebody that was the truth?
Well, in my experience of being divorced, there were some parts that perhaps struck a nerve. But that said, I'm extremely fortunate to have a really good relationship with my ex-husband and his wife of 20 plus years.
Yes.
So
Yes.
We spent some time together this past year at one of our grandsons' wedding, the first of 7 grandkids. So I think it'll all pan out.
Yeah,
It'll all work out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just, my bias, and it's just simply my bias, is that children need to know what the world is about, and it's still through your eyes.
Exactly.
But in fact, there is a saying about being a good enough parent, that if you're a perfect parent, you're not preparing your child for the real world.
Sure.
Because the real world is not perfect.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, but anyway, getting on to the business at hand.
Yes.
I've known you for the duration of your presidency, and I'm grateful for your commitment to the club, your hard work, your enthusiasm, what you've accomplished. It's all very impressive. And you're very open to feedback.
Yes.
And you've told me stories that people have experienced you not only as a relationship builder, but as a perfectionist.
Yes.
And as a micromanager.
Yes.
So please tell us about your personal growth around those characteristics.
Well, I think that there are a lot of positives that have come out of this, my tenure, first as treasurer, then membership, then both at the same time, technology chair when we were in between, and then finally president. And being president has meant a lot of interaction with our board, and there's a couple of people, but one in particular that stands out to me is when I was asking questions about something coming up on an event, and our program chair reminded me that I assigned this task to her and her committee, and now, Nancy, step out of the way and let us do our job. Mm-hmm. And I so appreciated that. Mm-hmm. Some people might be hurt by it.
Yes.
But with what I'm going through on personal growth and development, I really appreciated hearing that.
Yes.
Because it just kind of confirmed some of what I have been working on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you want to share more about what you've been working on and your healing and recovery?
Well, in 2023, my church has had a program for 33 years called Celebrate Recovery. And I became aware of it through my experiences with this club. And this is a program for people with hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And
covers
I think we
most of us.
all can identify with that. And I realized that it is a 12-step program, but it's not just drugs and alcohol.
No.
It's people that have codependency issues, issues with food, with anger, with
poor boundaries.
Some mental health is another one. So the one that I started out with was that I am an adult child of family dysfunction, based on what I grew up with, an alcoholic mother, a very sick brother for 10 years, and how the family dealt with that, and how it affected me. But I've settled into the codependency issue because I feel like my tendencies for perfectionism, control, micromanaging, those kinds of things have really blossomed, if you will, with the pub club and my interactions with the board.
Yes.
And I have been very open and truthful with a few members of the board, and now the whole audience here in Laguna Woods. If I may, I'd like to share what I say every time I go to a Celebrate Recovery program. And Yes.
Just a question. So what, after you read it, if you could tell us what is the importance of this statement that you
Yes.
make to yourself
Okay.
publicly?
Well, yes. So it is a public declaration. And when I say public, we're in a small group. And
Yes,
it's-
but now.
and it's called Open Share. But yes, and you know, my hope is by saying these things here is that somebody in the audience may say, "Well, that's me," you know, or identify with something like this.
Yes.
So the way I open up is I say, "I'm Nancy, a very grateful believer in Jesus, and an adult child of family dysfunction. I struggle with codependency issues of perfectionism, control, overfunctioning, and micromanaging. I am working on living a balanced life where self-care and taking responsibility for my own health and well-being take priority over the addictive behavior and control of others."
Yeah, that would resonate with a lot of people.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's excellent.
So, I mean, it states who I am, what I'm struggling with, and where I want to go in answer to your previous question of what do you hope to do afterwards. And because of the health issues that I had a shoulder replacement, and then I experienced extreme fatigue for 2 months. And I knew there was something more than just recovering from my shoulder, and discovered that I have some heart issues. And so I've gotten treatment, and I happy to say I'm probably 95% better than I was.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful news.
you know, I'm very excited.
Yes, and sometimes, I mean, it takes that kind of event to wake you up.
Yes.
To wake anyone
Absolutely.
up. Yes, and also that time. I mean, I'm a big proponent of take quiet time
Yes.
to be able to take stock of where you are, who you are, and where you're going.
Right.
And you don't do that if you're overfunctioning.
Right.
So this was a blessing for you to have to be quiet.
It actually really was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot through that time. And as I said earlier, I learned that I don't have to be in charge. I don't have to be telling the board, the club, from my recovery, this is what you need to do. And I was uncharacteristically quiet for a while. So, you know, I think the board appreciated that. And I do think that it gave them time to reflect and to decide, do we want this club to continue? And if so, what's it going to look like?
Yes, a recommitment.
Yeah.
Did you write that statement, or is that statement given to you?
Well, no, I wrote that statement, but I did a lot of listening to, because we go around in a circle of anywhere from 10 to 25 people on any given week, and we all share. And so there are issue pamphlets that go into some of the characteristics, and these are the ones that resonated with me.
Yeah, I think knowing you as I do, I say those are all good goals.
Yes, yes.
Well, so what are the challenges? What are some of the challenges? You mentioned some of the benefits of being a club president.
Well, the challenges have been kind of mixed, because the Nancy 2 years ago was feeling like I had to be the one in charge of everything. I don't know why I thought that, but
Well,
probably my codependent self was speaking.
Yes.
And, you know, as time has gone on, I've realized that a board is a group of people. And I think that the board we have now is outstanding, and I would not be where I am today without each and every one of the people that are on that board. And so in terms of the challenges, I think one of the things that I did learn was to not give one person a gigantic task, but to break it up. And so, for example, with our publicity chair, we had a litany of responsibilities. And we looked at what was the most important responsibilities, and we broke it down to Globe, writing the article for the Globe, TV6, getting the guests for TV6, and our Facebook club page, and keeping our different events and encouraging interaction on Facebook. And so we have one person in charge of each of those.
That is a great idea.
And we've also done that, and I just have to give tremendous credit to Dianna Lynn, who became our program chair and decided early on to have a committee. And she set her boundaries.
Yes.
She said, I will do 8 events, but the 4 special events, I'm not going to do those. And so committees stepped up to do those events.
Yes. So advice that you would give other clubs here in the woods would be, 1, break down the tasks.
Yes. Break down the tasks. Take time for yourself. Some very good friends who I'm dog sitting for right now are in Cabo this week. And they are in charge. There's a president in the entertainment chair that are in charge of a huge club here. And they needed time to themselves.
Yes.
And they've taken that time. And that's very important, especially when you get a huge club like they are in charge of. So,
it's very important, and something that you and I have talked about, and I've talked about it with others, is this is a retirement community.
That's right.
It's like, you're supposed to do, not supposed to, I would say, but I encourage everybody to do what you love here. This is your chance to enjoy your life as best as you can with as few hassles as possible. Now, avoiding all hassles is not possible, but still choose what you want to do and be careful of overcommitting.
Right.
Because, when I first came here, I was doing a lot of stuff, and then I was like, this is not fun, even though it sounded like fun. So I've narrowed it down to some things that really give me joy, like this program.
Well, and I heard you say earlier when we were talking that you set boundaries, very, very distinct boundaries.
Yes.
And you are off duty on the weekend.
Yes, I am.
And, heaven forbid there should be something important, or at least important in someone else's eyes.
Yes, exactly.
That they should need right now. And another thing that came to me is I heard the term, I'm not retired, I'm refired. And that sounded good for a while, but refired kind of gives the impression that you have to do more. And so I've got to come up with another R word, that relaxed or something.
Or reinvigorated, or renewed.
Renewed. Oh, I like that
There
one.
you go. Yeah, because it's that whole idea of, I can't take this time off because somebody's going to need me.
Right.
Well, we're all adults, and there's nothing here nuclear going on.
Right.
This is not like international disaster.
Exactly.
And in fact, I even said to you, a club can go dark for a month or 2 for its own reorganization.
Well, and the pub club has decided to do just that.
Oh.
We're going to do that in July and August of this next year.
Yeah.
And, right now, while the club is reorganizing, we have a January program with Allison Spina, talking about setting goals, which, for your writing,
Yes.
which is very important in January.
It sure is, yeah.
And they're still working on the rest of the year. We have our special events that will continue on. But the committee's working on it. And it's no longer Nancy's responsibility.
Yes, high five, Nancy.
Yeah, and I love the idea of committees. I love, sharing.
It is a great idea.
And the other thing that I have really emphasized to the board is the importance of getting to know personally the new members, and that takes effort.
Yes, it does.
Communication and
Yes.
and
curiosity.
Yes.
To really find out what that other person's passion is.
Because in fact, our new technology chair is a perfect example. I saw her looking over the membership roster on the laptop of our membership chair, and I asked her if she knew her way around Excel. Oh yeah, piece of cake. That's her favorite saying, is piece of cake. And I inquired a little more. Well, sooner rather than later, she became our technology chair as well. And she's totally redesigning our website.
Oh, and you don't know how many clubs would love to have somebody to redesign their website.
Yes.
And
well, we're very blessed by having her.
yes, and I would like Laguna Woods to have somebody who would redesign all our websites.
Yes,
It would be wonderful.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, I'm quickly going to address transitions. Because you are going through a transition, and in fact, you are a transition expert because you've transitioned so many times in your life. I don't know if we'll have time today to talk about those transitions. However, I just wanted to, for our audience, sum up club transitions. So first of all, they can be planned or unplanned. In this case, it was somewhat planned, but it usually involves an ending, a period of reorganization, and feelings of uncertainty, which some people have a very difficult time with. Everybody involved is faced with these tasks. So specifically, it's about embracing a new beginning, discovering new roles, establishing new goals, and maybe even a new identity. Now, depending on factors such as people's personalities, their maturity, and life experiences, like have they had a recent loss, have all losses been bad, the transition process can work smoothly or terribly, be distressing in fact. In retirement, a transition may even be harder because it brings up thoughts of passage of time, or in some cases, death. You could have feelings of grief and loss, anxiety and fear, excitement and hope, resentment and resistance. In a club, these responses can be magnified if members fail to manage their own feelings and responses. If your club is going through a transition, strive to accept, adapt to the changes, and see the positives. So that concludes this episode of Right on Track, brought to you by the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods. You can see this show and others right here on TV6, Mondays at 10:30 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Thanks to Nancy and the staff. May you follow your dreams with passion, persistence, and faith. See you again soon.